All right, so top three in the East, we got the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks. The middle of the pack, we have the New York Knicks, the Hawks, the Celtics, and then in the playing game, I want you guys to listen closely. We got the Heat, the Hornets, the Pacers, and yes, in the number 10 spot right now for the playing tournament, we have the Washington Wizards. What do you guys? Where do you guys think this Eastern Conference is going?
Yeah, we've been saying this from the rip. I think the Eastern Conference right now is the Brooklyn Nets to lose, but as of right now, they're scaring me. They are 100% scaring me. We talking about players like James Harden and Kevin Durant continuously getting injured, especially James Harden because James Harden is not a player that gets injured. He's been an Iron Man throughout his career, and now all of a sudden he goes to Brooklyn. Now he's getting injured. Supposedly he had a setback with his hamstring. He's supposed to be out damn near right before the playoffs start. Kevin Durant, he got a minor injury. I think he got a thigh contusion. He should be back in a couple of games. But regardless, I don't 100% trust all three of them, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, to be 100% healthy come playoff time. If they are not 100% healthy, if one of them or one or two of them are possibly going to miss some games in some series, especially some high stakes series later on in the playoffs, potentially versus some upper echelon teams like the Bucks or even like the 76ers, I don't 100% trust them to come out of the East. Now, one of the teams, in my opinion, that's super interesting right now is the New York Knicks. We talked about this before we started the podcast. They're on a 8-game winning streak. Absolutely insane. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought they were definitely going to be a better team because of the appearance of Tom Thibodeau. But 8-game winning streak right now, they're about 3.5 games back from the Bucks from the third seed in the East. That's absolutely insane. Now, a team, my favorite team, hurts. It hurts me to say, the Miami Heat, bro. I don't know what's going on. If you talking to a hardcore Miami Heat fan that's watched every single game, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. First things first, when Jimmy Butler came back, we rattled off I think like 8 straight games. We went like a solid like I think 12-2. Then we went on a losing streak, went on a winning streak. We recently just came off a 6-game losing streak. Now we're on a 3-game winning streak. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Right now, I'm completely scared. We might go on the 8-game winning streak, or we might lose like 10 games straight. I have absolutely no idea. Now, the interesting thing, in my opinion, the Washington Wizards, they're on a winning streak, and I'm deathly afraid of playing the Washington Wizards in the playing tournament. I think the Washington Wizards right now, they found something. They found something. It is scary. Just similar to the New York Knicks is scary. I don't want to see Russell Westbrook in the playing tournament. I damn sure don't want to see Bradley Beal in the playing tournament if they're firing on all cylinders. Now, I'm not necessarily going to talk about the bottom three. I just want to talk about the Chicago Bulls. This right here hurts me. It hurts my co-host Tyler even more. I personally thought they were going to be at least the seventh seed after they acquired Nikola Jokic. But while they were in the figuring out process of the Nikola Jokic being added to the team, Zach
Vucevic.
Levine. Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, I said Jokic, Vucevic. Zach Levine goes down with COVID. Absolutely insane, absolutely heartbreaking. I know exactly how this feels. Jimmy Butler at the start of basketball season got COVID. I'm happy it happened at the start of the season because you cannot afford a top tier player right now going down on any team. Period. But the Eastern Conference is shaping up. We starting to figure out exactly who's going to face who in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure the the Bucks are possibly going to be stuck at the third seed. Some spots are starting to get solidified.
Listen, man. If it was any team that couldn't afford to lose a 30 point per game scorer, it was the Bulls. It was us, man. I honestly thought that we would make a push for the seventh seed, but it's looking like it's going to be another year where we don't get a top five pick, but we also don't make the playoffs. You know, middle of the pack. Now, moving on to the top. I'm looking at these overalls. I'm looking at these records. Hey, man, I gotta agree. The Nets are definitely scaring me. They're scaring me so much to the point where I'm starting to believe in Philly, man. The thing about Philly is they they're one of the few teams that still live by the saying, defense wins championships. When you got both Embiid and Simmons believing that they're the best defenders in the league, that means they both have something to prove on that side of the ball, which is a rare commodity in the league these days. Teams like the Nets, they just want to outscore you. Teams like the Bucks, Giannis is going to put up a crazy stat line, and whoever else helps him, then that's just the add-on for the team. And honestly, if we're not talking about those three teams, I don't know what else we're talking about. You mentioned the New York Knicks, and I don't know why. And then you have
Oh
the Atlanta
man.
Hawks.
Oh
The Atlanta
man.
Hawks, Trae Young just went down, and it's a bad blow for him. I really want to see the Hawks in the playoffs and what they look like, because that's a nice squad that they have in Atlanta, especially with Lou Williams coming back to Atlanta. You still got Clint Capella, Trae Young, Gallinari, a lot of scorers that people are going to sleep on. And then your team, the Heat. Now last year, a lot of people had the Heat as a dark horse. I still have them as that dark horse. This season. You say you don't want to see Washington in a playing game. I don't believe in Washington. I see that they're moving up in the rankings. I still don't believe it. Because at the end of the day, I think that the Washington Wizards are going to be the same old Washington Wizards. What's different? What's so different about this Russell Westbrook and Brad Bill combo that was not the same about the John Wall and Bill combo? You know what I'm saying? So, with all due respect, again, Knicks fans, I don't know why he even brought y'all up another season down the drain. I think that the 76ers, man, I think they're going to go all the way just because of how inconsistent the Nets have been from a availability standpoint.
I like it.
All right, so I'm gonna jump the ship. I know in the past videos I've been saying the Nets, but to defend myself, I have been saying if anybody can beat the Nets, it's the 76ers. And I'm going to have to double down on that. I think the 76ers are going to run this conference. They're the only team in this conference that have less than 10 conference losses. They're 25-7. The closest team to them are the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 20-10. They run this conference. If they get healthy and stay healthy, the 76ers are going to the NBA Finals. You heard it here first. But to go down the list, if the Nets get healthy, completely healthy, I'm saying, because like Rob said, James Harden was an Iron Man, no matter if he was in Houston or where he was. If he's healthy, he's playing. And to see James Harden not healthy, that's kind of scary. Kyrie Irving, you don't know what you're going to get from him. But if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are going against the 76ers, I don't think that's enough to beat them. Now, the Bucks, they're the Bucks. Nobody really, they're a nice regular season team, all right? Giannis, get out of there if you want to win a ring. Now, the Knicks, Tyler, you got to look. When a team has been as bad as the New York Knicks have been
Terrible.
for so long, no, they've been the laughing stock of the league.
Obsolete.
We're not we're not expecting them to win a NBA championship right this second, but you have to give them props and just be happy for a fan base who have been through so much torment. They're currently on an 8-game win streak and the best defensive team in the league.
Listen, I don't expect them to win a championship this second, last second, or the next second. Continue.
You have to give them props. I'm happy for the New York Knicks. I actually like following them. All right, the Hawks, I don't expect them to make any noise. The Celtics, they have been a disappointment. All right, the Boston Celtics have too much talent to be the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. They need to be a top 3 seed every year with the talent that they have. And now this bottom 4, this playing tournament, it can get very sloppy because if Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook keep on heating up and keep on playing well together and keep using whatever it is that they found, like my man Rob said, they found it, then hey, look alive. Are they gonna go far in the playoffs? Nah, but they're gonna ruin somebody's season. All right. That's all I really have to say about the Eastern Conference.
One thing I want to say real quick, and it has to do with the Knicks. I don't fear the Knicks this season. What I fear for the Knicks, why I fear for the Knicks is because they're a top tier destination. A couple of days ago, we heard Zion Williamson basically talk about the New York Knicks, talk about the city of New York, say how he would have loved to play for New York. It's all about the attraction to New York to the New York Knicks. Right now, we see them as a decent team, but free agents and players around the league are seeing it as a very good destination. Karl-Anthony Towns right now, even though his team is starting a little bit 500, if he acts out, I guarantee you the New York Knicks is going to be on that team of destinations that he loves to go to. Even some other top tier stars that could potentially ask for a way out. Even Well, De'Aaron Fox. I'm pretty sure De'Aaron Fox right now isn't necessarily feeling that good right now, losing a lot of games with the Sacramento Kings. I talk about how I listen to them all the time. They starting to get scared. They're starting to hear some chirpings about how De'Aaron Fox doesn't necessarily want to stay in Sacramento. I think he himself could potentially want to go to the New York Knicks. A whole bunch of teams. Not only that, of course, Kawhi Leonard. I'm not necessarily saying that this would happen. Excuse me, that this would happen. But Kawhi Leonard is a free agent this offseason. He could potentially look to the New York Knicks to actually rebuild. He could join up with Julius Randle and potentially do something. With teams like that, teams like the Lakers, teams like Miami, teams like New York Knicks, when they're in big markets and they start to have a little bit of rumbling, free agents and just players, regardless, that's looking for a trade they start to give them the side eye. They start to they want to start coming there.
You said join Julius Randle. Okay.
Yo, Julius Randle's gonna be most improved player. We know this. We gotta stop slighting these players on the New York Knicks. I'm gonna tell you right now. I think the New York Knicks are the equivalent of the Cowboys. I hate them, but you gotta give it up. They're doing something decent.
Look, Tyler, I know it's hard to grasp that the Knicks they're putting out a decent product. It's difficult for me too. I don't get it. What they're not. This is not the Knicks. Why are they acting like this right now?
Listen, I just want to know what's the narrative around Julius Randle. Earlier in the week, I had guys telling me that he should be in the MVP race. Now I got guys telling me he's the most improved. Now I got guys telling me he's top 15, top 10 in the league. Where is Julius Randle in your eyes, both of you? Because that's all I've been hearing.
He's a star player, not yet a superstar. He's averaging 24, 10, and 6. I would take that any day.
Yeah, see, Julius Randle, in my opinion, you feel me? I always liked him. I think he's a decent player for what he is. I personally think he's a solid number 3 on a championship team. I don't think he could be a bona fide number 2 because he's a little bit too inconsistent, and damn sure can't be a number 1. But if they get a superstar, if they get a superstar, they'll be even closer. But if they get a megastar, I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Knicks will possibly be the favorites heading into another season.
I don't know if I could use the words favorites and Knicks in the same sentence, man.
Bro, I know it's like sacrilegious. We've been making fun of the New York Knicks since 2013.
Since we were born.
I don't know.
Since 1997.
Nah, when they had Carmelo Jr. and Amari Stoudemire, they was kind of decent, but now it's looking like something different. I don't know.
All right, man. All I'm gonna say is, if Julius Randle is this nice, man, he must be the second coming of Linsanity because.
Nah, chill. Linsanity lasted for like a solid 12 games, bro.
Yeah. All right, now to switch gears before we get off of the Eastern Conference, do you guys think that if LaMelo Ball comes back for the Hornets, do you think they can make some noise in this play-in tournament, or even the Wizards? Do you guys think they can disrupt any of these other teams in the play-in tournament?
I personally think they could. I would not rule them out. They've been playing extremely inspiring. Of course, their announcers pretty much been going viral ever since they started yelling Trae Young's name, not Trae Young's name, LaMelo Ball's name. Yeah, and Miles Bridges, of course, when he basically makes those highlight dunks, top best dunks of all time, in my opinion. But I personally think, with them hitting threes, I think that's one of the more important things. LaMelo Ball, basically a surprise to me. I knew LaMelo Ball could shoot threes, but I didn't necessarily think he'd be close to a 40% 3-point shooter. Him, Terry Rozier, in my opinion, has pretty much shocked a lot of people. Damn near close to 50%, definitely over 40%. Just the 3-point shooting and plus the dominance in the paint with Miles Bridges, I think they could definitely cause some noise. I'd definitely be afraid of him. Not if I'm Miami Heat, I think Miami Heat would destroy him. But if I'm a regular team, if I'm one of those higher seeded teams, if I'm like the 76ers, if I'm like the Bucks, I'd definitely be a little bit afraid of them.
Yeah, I would be very afraid. With this play-in tournament and how the league is set up now, it reminds me kind of a football field with, anybody can really take it. Because the Charlotte Hornets, everybody plays with a chip on their shoulder. If it's not Scary Terry going, Devontae Graham will start going. LaMelo Ball.
Gordon Hayward,
we don't even talk about him. Gordon Hayward, he's looking like he's going to be himself really soon again. And then LaMelo Ball is playing like, the most experienced rookie we've ever seen. As soon as he stepped foot into the league, he came in with this confidence and this aggressiveness that we thought we were getting. So, Miles Bridges, I don't know, he's the second coming of Blake Griffin. I don't know where this came from. And then they even have a bench. So all in all, I think that they can make some noise just because of how chippy they play. Everybody has a chip on their shoulder. They play together. It could get scary for some teams that overlook them and look past them to the next round.
I definitely agree. One of the things I definitely want to point out, though, right now, Trey Young is injured. He has a sprained ankle. He sprained his ankle, I think, a couple of days ago. It's going to be very interesting to see if the Hawks actually do slide a little bit down the totem pole. Right now, I believe they're 6th seed in the East. They're playing Miami Heat tomorrow, I believe, and that right there could actually be for the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. And of course, if they lose and they actually go down to the 7th seed, they'd be in the playoff tournament. Well, the play-in tournament.
I feel you.
Now, before we close out, do you guys think the Celtics are anything else than they are now? Like, do you guys think they're underperforming, or do you guys feel like this is it? This is it for the Celtics. This is the team they have. They're not going to start meshing well together out of nowhere. They should start making changes. What do you guys think?
Nah, this is who they are. And I've been saying from the start, I always thought that their problem was they didn't have a solid enough big man. Kemba Walker was great in Charlotte. It's easy to be like a really great player in a bad place. Kemba Walker really hasn't been to the playoffs, but what, twice maybe, if that. So, and I'm not placing this all on Kemba Walker. Part of it goes on Jason Tatum too, because one week we are seeing the Jason Tatum that we got when he was a rookie in the year after, and then the next, I don't know, Jason Tatum is just another guy on the team. Jaylen Brown has been, if anything, the true shining star of this team this season. So I think what you're looking at with the Celtics is what you got, man. I think the hype them blew over. All of the assets went away. No more Scary Terry. No more Gordon Hayward. No more Kyrie Irving. This is what you have. And until changes are made or guys decide to step up, this is the Celtics.
Yeah, here's the thing. I personally believe, in regards to this year, that's going to be the team. But I think in a season like this, I don't necessarily think you can put too much stock into how the team actually performs. We talked about this to nauseum all throughout the year. This season right here is just a unique season. You can't necessarily make too much rash decisions about an organization in this season. I believe the next season, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be a top 3 seed. 100% wouldn't. It's just that this season, I don't know if they got it. And even in this season, especially in the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if they start figuring stuff out and they automatically start hitting shots. I wouldn't necessarily be completely surprised if Jason Tatum starts going off and averaging 30 points in the playoffs, similar to Jaylen Brown, and even similar to a lesser degree of Kemba Walker. I just cannot necessarily 100% rule them out of making a deep playoff runs because they got a bunch of players that's been there and done that. Not necessarily Kemba, but just a bunch of players that have that experience and, of course, can catch fire at any time. They're live, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to 100% go there. But I still have to admit that they are definitely live.